Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to another episode of the X Factor Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Mondaine. We are in season 6, episode 6. That's right. Y'all made it to the episode. We are midway through this season, which is crazy, right? I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank everybody that's subscribed to the X Factor Sports Podcast on YouTube and Rumble, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. We are over 4,000 subscribers. Let's try to get it to 5 or at least 4,500 before the end of the season. It's much appreciated. Thank y'all all for tuning in. So we got a great show for y'all tonight. Like I said, X Factor Sports Podcast, YouTube and Rumble Wednesday nights. Any place that you can listen to podcasts, you can catch the X Factor Sports Podcast. Go ahead and catch up on all the episodes. We are on episode 66, season 6, episode 6, and it's going to be a mean show. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Start with the layup lines, of course, like we always do. Quick news, things that are happening around the sports world. We want to get into all of that. And we ain't going to, without further ado, we just going to get it started. All right, so Major League Baseball. We have to congratulate the winners of the awards. We got a lot of these right. We predicted it before the playoffs started towards the end of the season. A couple weeks before the season ended, we kind of predicted who we were going to go with. We got a lot of these right. Obviously, we got to go with the MVPs. Those are pretty easy. Aaron Judge in the American League. And then you got Shohei Ohtani in the National League, who now has MVPs in both leagues. Back-to-back MVPs because he won it with the Angels in the American League last year. And now he is a Dodger winning the award. So congrats to that. And so, yeah. Crazy thing about Shohei Ohtani, if y'all haven't known, the dude's been in the league for 7 years, and he already has 3 league MVPs, back-to-back in different leagues. He is a back-to-back Hank Aaron Award winner, which means the most outstanding offensive player, a 5-time first-team All-MLB in 7 seasons. He's done this already. Just dominant, got a World Series ring now. I mean, and he's going to come back pitching next year, might get a Cy Young award. Like, this guy, Shohei Ohtani, man, is something else. So congrats to those 2 guys. Again, obvious we knew who was going to win MVPs. Then we got the Cy Young Award winners. We got both of those right. Tarek Skubal from Detroit in the American League, and then Chris Sale in the National League for the Braves, which is crazy because I figured he had already won a Cy Young when he was playing in Boston. I know he didn't get one with us, the White Sox. But when he won the World Series that season, I figured he won the Cy Young in Boston in the American League, but I guess he didn't. So congrats to Chris Sale for winning his much-deserved first one. All right. Then Rookie of the Years, we didn't get both of these right. We did get Paul Skenes, the pitcher from the Pirates, correct. So congrats to him on winning Rookie of the Year. And then we got both of the managers correct for Manager of the Year. In the American League, the Cleveland Indians coach got it. Cleveland Guardians manager got it. Got to be politically correct on here. So congrats to him. The Royals manager could have got it. They had the biggest turnaround, I think, in Major League history, or at least in Royals history, from wins and losses last season to this season. Could have got it. But the manager for the Cleveland Guardians got it because nobody expected them to win the division, especially first-year coach, and he got it done, so congrats to him. And then in the National League, the Milwaukee Brewers manager got Coach of the Year, Manager of the Year, which we thought would get 2. So congrats to all the winners of the awards in Major League Baseball. All right, so college football, let's shift gears over to college football. A lot of upsets over the weekend, if y'all are watching, which is going to make a great Thanksgiving weekend for these last regular season games before we get into conference championships with all of these upsets. So with everything that happened last week, Georgia still has a chance to play in an SEC title game. They need a little help, but they got a chance. Colorado lost to Kansas, so they no longer control their own destiny. They need a lot of help to get into a Big 12 title game. And then Clemson is quiet. Clemson has been quiet, under the radar. Nobody's been talking about them. They are now in the college football playoff, and they got a chance to play in the ACC championship game. They have not lost the conference game yet. So they're going to either play SMU or Miami in the conference championship game. So congrats to them, undefeated in conference play. Then we got some first-year teams in their conference that's going to a conference title, got an opportunity to win their conference. Texas and the SEC just came through, and they got a chance to win it. SMU, like I just talked about, got a chance to win the ACC, and then Oregon, undefeated, number one in the country, got a chance to not only win a national or win the Big Ten in their first year, but got a chance to win the national championship. So the college football playoff brackets came out last night, and I'll tell you what I noticed about the college football playoff brackets is that, if I'm being honest with y'all, I would not want to be the 9th seed. If y'all paid attention to the brackets, the 9th seed, I would not want to be the 9th seed in the college football playoff bracket. Here's why. If you're the 9th seed, which Tennessee is right now, sorry if they stay there, but this is what they have to deal with in that bracket. So they don't do it by rankings, the regular polls. The college football playoff ranking is different because they go by the Power 4 teams that win their Power 4 conference championship are the top 4 teams. It doesn't matter what seed they are in the regular polls, the AP polls. So which gives Tennessee this 9th seed right now, and Boise State is a 4 seed because they're winning in their conference, in the Power 4 conference, right? So with Tennessee, if you're the 9th seed, you got to go on the road and play against an 8, which is looking like might be an SEC team on the road. So you might play a Georgia or Alabama the first game, right? After you win that game, if you get out of that game, then you got to play the number 1 overall seed, which is probably going to be Ohio State or Oregon if Oregon's undefeated. So you got to go to Eugene and play the number 1 team in the country in the quarterfinal of the college football playoff. And this ain't the championship or even a semi. This is a quarterfinal. You got to go out and play on the road. So all your games are going to most likely be on the road, number 1. Number 2, right after you win that first round, you got to go out to play a number 1 seed that's been rested. And if for some miracle you win that game in the quarterfinal, then you go on the road again to the semifinal, and you probably play against a Big 12 or an ACC champ on the road. So here's another scenario. If it's a Southern team, a Tennessee, a Georgia, right, and they win, and they got to go up to like an Ohio State, let's say Ohio State, just for the sake of this conversation, gets the 1 seed, and you get a Georgia or a Texas or a Tennessee, and they got to go play up at the Horseshoe in December, that's going to be crazy just to see a team like that play in that type of climate, outdoors. So this college football playoff thing is interesting because you see some unlikely teams playing each other in a playoff. You get a Georgia that might have to go up to Penn State and play on the road, something like that is going to be real interesting to see. But looking at that bracket yesterday, that 9th seed is a gauntlet, man. I wouldn't want to be in that spot. So interesting. We'll see what happens. Obviously, like I said, Thanksgiving weekend, we're going to see which teams make it to the conference championship, and we will talk about it in episode 7. All right. Let's move to the NBA. NBA is even getting interesting. Now that the NBA Cup is taking shape, we got some teams already eliminated. We got some teams that look like they are hitting a switch and becoming front runners to win the NBA Cup. And it's kind of low-key turning their season around. For example, the Milwaukee Bucks. All right, shout out to them. Doc Rivers, whatever they doing, I don't know what Doc Rivers does coaching-wise, but that's another story for another day. However, the Bucks, Giannis, Dame, Brook Lopez, like the vets, like they're figuring it out. All right, after yesterday, they on a 5-game win streak. I don't think they've lost an NBA Cup game yet in this pool play round, and might win the NBA Cup. It could be them versus Golden State or them versus somebody in the West that's playing really well. Houston, surprisingly, is playing well over there. This could turn things around after having a slow start for Milwaukee. This can be the spark that gets them going. What else we got going on in the NBA? The Pelicans and Philly are early season disappointments, as you can see. All right, even with Zion out, they still look bad. They don't even look like they're inspired to play hard. I don't know where CJ McCullough and Brandon Ingram at. They don't look good at all. Philly don't look good at all either. But Houston and Orlando look great. All right, last night Houston beat the Timberwolves in overtime. I told y'all before the season started, Ime Udoka got a full season under his belt. He's implemented this defense. This Houston Rockets team, man, they can make the playoffs. They look really, really good. This can be one of them young teams that make some noise in the regular season. They can be I'm not saying they're going to be as good as Minnesota was last season, but they can be a good young team that makes the playoffs. They can be the Orlando Magic of last year, right? And Orlando looks like they're taking a step forward, even with Paolo Banchero hurt. So interesting stuff going on in the NBA. And then here's something else. Kendrick Lamar came out with an album on Friday. All right. And I know y'all saying, Jay, why the hell are you talking about Kendrick Lamar coming out with an album on a sports podcast during the NBA segment? Because if you've been following the NBA and you've been following Kendrick Lamar since he started making these albums in 2015, there's an interesting correlation, all right? So, To Pimp a Butterfly came out in 2015. Damn came out in 2017, all right? Big Steppers came out in 2022. Do y'all remember what happened those years? 15, 17, 22? The Golden State Warriors won NBA titles those years. I don't know if it's a coincidence. I don't know what it is. Y'all call it what y'all want. But he just came out with a new album on Friday. And the Golden State Warriors are the 1 seed in the West as it stands here. Now, I know technically if they win a championship, it'll be in 2025. But I'm just saying, every time Kendrick Lamar has brought out an album, the Warriors have won a championship. In the last 9 years that Kendrick Lamar has brought out albums, they've won. 2015, 2017, 2022. Yes, the Warriors won in 18, but Kendrick Lamar didn't put out an album. When he puts out albums, though, in the last 9 years, the Golden State Warriors have won championships. Hey, call it what you want. I'm not insinuating anything. This is a fact. Like I said, Pimp a Butterfly came out in 2015. Damn in 2017. Big Steppers in 2022. And then he got GXS or whatever name this one is. This new album came out Friday. Is out this year and the Warriors are good again. Y'all tell me what y'all think about that. I don't know. It'll be, like I said, consider 2025, but hey, he brought out an album during this NBA season and the Warriors are good. Y'all let me know if there's a correlation there. All right. And then last thing here in the quick news in the layup lines, the NFL, of course, we got to touch on this. Did Saquon Barkley just take the lead in the MVP race? All right. Y'all saw what he did last weekend. Put on an absolute show. And he's been building this up all season long. He's going to be the third player in, would he be the third or fourth? Either way, in NFL history, he's going to be one of the top players in NFL history to get 200 or 2,000 yards from scrimmage with two different franchises. Christian McCaffrey did it. Eric Dickerson did it. Actually, he's going to be fourth because Marshall Faulk did it too. Eric Dickerson did it back in the 80s. Marshall Faulk did it with the Colts and the Rams. Christian McCaffrey did it with Carolina and did it with the 49ers. And now Saquon Barkley is about on pace to get 2,000 scrimmage yards with two different franchises. He's making a case for MVP. All right. He went from the conversation to probably leading it. Yes, you still got Josh Allen. You still got Derrick Henry. You still got Lamar. But what you have to give it to a guy, especially at a skill position that's not a quarterback, that may make history. All right. So he could be the first running back to get it since Adrian Peterson in 2012. So Saquon Barkley doing his thing. All right. Then we got Bo Nix. All right. Remember our predictions. If y'all been watching the show, preseason predictions about awards, I went out on a limb and said Bo Nix will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But this is why I said it. I didn't say it because the Broncos are going to be good or that he was even going to be better than Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams or Drake May. The fact that he will get the opportunities to push the ball down the field and play through his mistakes and get more reps is why he will win Rookie of the Year. It's the same thing in the NBA. I pick rookies that will get more opportunity to play through mistakes, get more minutes. Those are usually the rookies that get Rookie of the Year because they get to play more. So I feel like Bo Nix is going to get it. And don't look now, but they are 7-5 in Washington. They 7-5 with the Washington Commanders, with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is starting to slide a little bit. I don't know if he's hitting a rookie wall or what, but they're starting to slip. And Bo Nix is getting stronger as the season goes, all right? They've won 2 straight games, and Bo Nix outplayed Mahomes in Kansas City also. Even though they lost, Bo Nix himself individually is playing better football, all right? So when it comes to quarterbacking, this is why I like the Bill Parcells rule. If you don't know the Parcells rule with rookie quarterbacks, this is what it is. If you've started in 50 or more games in college as a quarterback, then I'll draft you. That's why I hated the Mitch Trubisky draft when we picked him, right? He had like 12 starts or something like that, quarterback. Something ridiculous. Bo Nix has 61 starts as a college quarterback. Now, Jaden Daniels has 55, so he ain't that far behind, starting at Arizona State and getting over to LSU. But Bo Nix, he's mature. He, again, 61 starts at high and played high-level football, and you can't deny the productivity he has. Over 1,200 completions in college. That's a lot of football. Anywhere. He had over 1,200 completions in college before he got to the pros. So it's just building. He's getting more and more comfortable, and that's why I picked him to win Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. All right, that matters. The Cowboys don't even know how to tank right. What are y'all doing winning these games? Players are trying to play hard. Seriously, it's tongue-in-cheek. Like, players don't tank. Players and coaches don't tank. Front offices tank. And they manipulate and put you in situations. They're going to put the backup in. And, if players got a little bit of a nick, they're going to tell you to sit them down. Like, they dictate the tanking. Players are going to go out and play to win, right? The game's too dangerous to go out there to try to lose. But they don't even know how to do that right? So take a page out of the Giants book, man. Start Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, get this thing over with so you can get a good draft pick. But they tripping. So we're going to find out tomorrow, because that should be the Tank Bowl, the Giants and the Cowboys on Turkey Day tomorrow. We're going to see how that works. I got Dallas winning the game, but they should be trying to lose these games so they can get better position for draft picks. The AFC currently has the better division winners. If we're talking about playoff picture getting shaped up, this weekend is going to be a big indicator of what happens. The AFC is shaping out to have better division winners, but the NFC has better wild card teams, right? So, meaning there's a lot of parity in NFC. So you're going to have the NFC North, 3 teams are getting in the playoffs. Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit are getting in. And there might be an 11 or 12 win team in the NFC that has to go on the road in a playoff game, right? Because if Seattle or Arizona wins the division in the NFC, they're going to win it with 10 wins or 9 maybe. They can go 9-7 and win the division, 9-8. And you're going to have a 12, 13 win Minnesota team going on the road. So that's the parity that's going on in the NFC. The AFC is top heavy. The division winners are really good. Your wild card team should be wild card teams. So with that, it's going to segue us over to this. When it comes to the San Francisco 49ers, all right, has the Super Bowl window closed for them? Meaning, I know they haven't won a Super Bowl, but Kyle Shanahan's been to a few, right? So is his Super Bowl window closing with this iteration of this team, with the guys that were all pros at one point in their career? These guys are getting older, all right? They 5-6 right now, going out to Buffalo, a rested Buffalo team, and it ain't looking good for them. Brock Purdy might play, but he ain't 100%. Brandon Ayuk is out. Debo is banged up. Trent Williams is getting older and banged up. Nicky Bosa's hurt. Kittle is playing hurt. Not sure if McCaffrey is 100% with the tendonitis in the Achilles. Yet, so they don't look good. It's looking like all these guys are getting older and more hurt. And I just don't see how this window stays open with the 49ers. So I think the window is closed. But I believe in John Lynch. I believe in Kyle Shanahan. But there are some things that need to happen if they want to keep this window open. And it all boils down to Brock Purdy. Okay? Because after this season, Brock Purdy's contract is up and he's going to be wanting the max. He can even use last week's game as leverage, saying, look, y'all saw how old boy looked against the Packers. Y'all might need me. So he can probably use that as leverage to get max dollars, but will that benefit him in the long run? Because who's he going to play with? If he's getting the money, everybody else is leaving. So I think to preserve his career and to keep this championship window open, he needs to take the Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes approach. What I mean by that is a team-friendly deal. You can still make your money. Get 30, 35 million, 40 even maybe. But to try to go get Dak money and get 60, you're going to be playing with bad players. Not bad, but you're not going to be playing with all pros anymore. So I think he should take that approach. I get it. I'm not going to count another man's pockets. Obviously, Brady and Mahomes situation is different because they're making money off the field. They got all the endorsements. Every commercial you turn to, Patrick Mahomes is in it. This dude has ownership in teams all over Kansas City. Brady was with Giselle. He had the TB12 thing cracking. So they had endorsements outside of football. So they could, quote unquote, afford to take less money, I guess. Whereas Brock is a Mr. Irrelevant last pick. He needs to get his bag. I get that. But at what cost? Figuratively and literally. Because if you get max dollars, you're not going to have anybody to play football with. And if he does that, this championship window, that window slams closed. So I think if he wants to play winning football, he's got to take a team-friendly deal. Maybe it's bonuses and incentives on the back end. They do that a lot in football. But to keep these guys intact or keep money around so you can get guys to stay in San Francisco. I think that's the move. Again, it's Brock Purdy's pockets. But if he does not do that, I think this championship window is all predicated on Brock Purdy. And not because of his play. It ain't like Joe Burrow in Cincinnati where Joe Burrow had the quote, as long as I'm the quarterback, the championship window is open. I don't think this is that. He ain't Joe Burrow. But the championship window is predicated on his contract. Whether he takes a team-friendly deal or a player-friendly deal will determine if this window is open or closed. And if he does the right thing, it'll stay open. But I think this championship window is closed because these players are starting to get depleted. And everybody talks about how great, Debo and all these guys are. Debo was a all-pro one time. All right, so let's not act like these guys are perennial all-pros. They're good, but what it looks like this season, man, it ain't getting any better soon. Going into Buffalo, I don't think it's going to be great either. They're going to be 5-7. This team could miss the playoffs. They are the last place team in the NFC West. And if you'd have told me that in September, I'd have laughed at you. So due to injuries and age and just people figuring these guys out, I don't know what it is. It looks like that championship window is closing as we speak for the San Francisco 49ers. All right. Again, this is Jay Mondaine of the X Factor Sports Podcast. You are watching season 6, episode 6 on YouTube and Rumble. Every Wednesday night, we got a new episode for you. And anywhere that you are allowed to listen to podcasts, you can check out the X Factor Sports Podcast. I think we're on over 12 channels for audio. So anywhere you look for audio, you can probably catch the X Factor Sports Podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. All right. So let's go ahead and switch it up and get into NCAA basketball. All right. I know the season just started. I like to get into the NCAA basketball closer to the holiday. Let them get 5, 6, 7 games under their belt, a Maui Invitational or whatever. Then we can talk a little bit about what these kids look like. So yesterday, we had some big games. Like I just said, the Maui Invitational happened. UConn, 2-time defending national champs, lost back-to-back games. They were close, but they losing. Lost to Colorado yesterday. And Dan Hurley looked pissed off. All right. The first time they lost, he was mad at the refs. This time, I think he's just mad at his team. I don't know what it is. But this is the first time they've lost back-to-back games since Dan Hurley's been the coach. But this is what happens. The Chiefs are going through this. South Carolina is going through this. They lost to UCLA over the weekend. It's happening. When you're the top dog, you get everybody's best shot. So now they can regroup, leave Hawaii, and go home and figure out what it is they need to figure out to continue the season. It ain't the end of the world. You lost 2 games in November. It's all good. They'll be fine. But there's a lesson to be learned here. You're going to get everybody's best shot. You're the 2-time national champs, right? So hopefully they can regroup and figure that out. In the Vegas Classic, I don't know why it's called a Vegas Classic. I think it was Duke and KU, but then like Furman and somebody else played after them, right? So the KU Duke game yesterday, for those of you who know, obviously I'm a Duke fan, so I'm going to watch that game and have something to say about it on the show. It was a tale of 2 halves. The first half, Cooper Flagg looked overwhelmed playing against grown men. Again, KU's team got 5 and 6 and 7-year seniors, a bunch of Van Wilders. But nonetheless, Cooper Flagg has played against pros, so he shouldn't have been scared. He shouldn't have been nervous. But with that being said, he only had 2 points. Duke turned the ball over almost more times than shots they made and still was only down 2 at half. So that told me that they can play with these guys. And when you look at young teams, the thing that I look for is how do they execute in the half court? They did not execute well in the half court. That's where all their turnovers came from. They was getting trapped. Cooper Flagg was getting trapped on pick and rolls. Anything that went baseline was getting trapped. He was seeing a lot of bodies, and they were turning them over. So young teams are not that great in the half court sets, and they're not that great out of timeouts or out of bounds plays when the other team has it. You saw that in the first half too. KU got a bunch of easy buckets off out of bounds plays, and that could be coaching just as well as the players. The experience that Bill Self has. I mean, this dude's got 800 wins. John Shire's got like 30 wins. So there's a lot of inexperience there, right? Jon Scheyer has more than 30 wins. This is third season. But you get what I'm saying. There's a disparity. There's a disparity in coaching experience, right? So there's that with the young guys. So how do you combat that? Transition. So Duke was getting back in transition. They were getting easy buckets in transition. In the second half, they start picking it up a little bit. Even Con Knipple missed every three he took. And despite that, Cooper Flagg started getting a little bit loose, got a couple nice dunks, pick and roll. They did good. Even with Hunter Dickinson kicking players in the face, getting ejected, sitting on the bench until TV timeout. I don't know how the hell you sit on the bench that long after getting ejected. Somebody had to remind them, like, what are these refs doing? So the officiating was crazy, but nonetheless, Duke had chances to win that game. But the reason they lost is the same reason they lost to Kentucky. They lost that game. The refs didn't lose this game for Duke. KU didn't. KU played okay. I think Duke could have still won the game, despite all of that stuff happening. And this is something that Jon Scheyer is going to have to work on. They lost to Kentucky. He gave the ball to his freshman, Cooper Flagg, to make a play at the end of the game. He spins in the lane, 2-3 bodies on him. He turns the ball over. Last night, I know Con Knipple was getting people involved, making plays. He does the same thing. Spin move into the lane. You got KJ Adams all over you. You got all these dudes around the ball. He spin moves, makes a jump pass to Cardinal Sin in the air. Instead of trying to at least put the ball up on the rim, he turns it over. Why do I say these two games, and why do I say these are the reason they lost? You putting the ball in the hands of two freshmen when you have a junior with all of the experience, been to Final Fours, like why, or Elite Eights, like why is the ball not in Tyrese Proctor's hands in those two situations? He's going to make the right decision. I know he's playing off the ball this season, but he has experience as the point guard, and he has experience in these games. So hopefully that's something that not only the freshmen can learn, it shouldn't be on them to figure that out. It should be on the coaching staff. So I'm going to say, and what my high school coach used to tell us, if we lose or win by 5 or less, it's on me. If we lose or win by 5 or more, it's on y'all. So the games that they lost to Kentucky by 2, I think, and they lost to KU yesterday by 3. All right? That's on Jon Scheyer. Okay? They got the ball at half court, got the timeout, 2.8 seconds left. They executed that. You got to get the ball in Tyrese Proctor's hands. Oh, my bad. Let me back up. Because what Con Knipple did that, it was like 14 seconds left when he turned the ball over. Then they had to foul. You have to get the ball in Tyrese Proctor's hands. Draw up something for your veteran. Let him make the decision. If he's got the look, take it or get a kick out or something. But to let these freshmen dictate what's happening in these games, I didn't like it. I don't like how they lost these games. These were both winnable games. Hopefully, Jon Scheyer learns from it, and hopefully they move on from it. But that was my take from these NCAA games. They need to do better. Simple as that. UConn will be all right. Duke will be all right. These are early games. They're still learning, but it's just disappointing when you had an opportunity to win despite all the stuff that was happening in that game, and you basically gave it away by turning it over. All right? Now, enough of that. No, we talked a lot about NCAA basketball, but that's the thing. Like, moving forward, what do you do when it comes to executing these plays down the stretch? Do you get the ball into your leader's hands, or do these young guys learn from it? I guess that's something that they're gonna have to figure out. KU did a good job of getting the ball into their playmakers' hands. DeJuan Harris has the ball in his hand to make decisions for them. He's been there for 10 years, but still, he's seen it all, done it all. So that's who has the ball. Duke should do that on their side. Give it to the guy who's seen it all, done it all, and make plays down the stretch. All right? So let's shift gears. We're going to get into that favorite segment that y'all love so much. And we call it Bet That. That's where we make our 5-leg parlay. All right. When we do our 5-leg parlay, we are talking about the NFL. We got Thanksgiving games. So we got to talk about who's playing and what these spreads are going to be. Again, I make these picks as well. So gamble at your own risk, but I like to let y'all know who I think is going to do what over the weekend. We got a 5-leg week 13 parlay. All right. So let's get into it. The first game, we got Dolphins at Packers. Okay. Miami going up to Green Bay on Thanksgiving night. It's going to be 27 degrees. It's supposed to feel like 12 degrees on the field. We already know how Tua do in cold games. He's 0-7 in games when it's under 40 degrees. I got the Packers covering this game. It's a 3-point spread at home in the cold. Give me Green Bay covering it. Dolphins don't look great in the cold. The last time we seen them in cold weather was when they played the Chiefs in the playoffs, and they wanted to get the hell out of there by the end of the first quarter. So maybe they learned something from that. Maybe they'll play tougher, but in this game, Thanksgiving night, on the road, give me Green Bay. Home teams usually do good on Thanksgiving. All right. Second game, we got Raiders at Chiefs. I'm taking the Raiders to cover this game. 13 in the hook. Giving the Chiefs a 2-touchdown spread, the way they've been playing, I just don't see it. They're not a team that blows teams out. They haven't been all season long. If you saw that Carolina game last week, hopefully you didn't bet on them to cover. This offensive line does not look the best, and they haven't looked great since that Tampa Bay game a few weeks back. So even though the Raiders, we're going to try to figure out who their quarterback is. Maybe they can go get Rich Gannon. For all my older viewers, they know who Rich Gannon is. But yeah, it's always a chippy game against the Raiders. They always play tough. Max Crosby always gives them problems. So I feel like 2 touchdowns is a lot. So I'm going with the Raiders to cover this spread. The Chiefs are 10-8-2 in their last 20 games against the spread. Not a great record. And this is a big number in a divisional game, especially seeing how they played last week against the Panthers. So I'm going to take the Raiders to cover. All right. In our third game, we got Steelers at Bengals. We got a divisional game. Bengals coming off a bye. I'm going to take the Bengals straight up. And I think the Bengals play good. Like I said, they're coming off a bye. T. Higgins will be back healthy. He looked great when he's healthy. I mean, damn. I love watching T. Higgins play. I wish we could have got him in the offseason over Keenan Allen, but it's all good. Now, the Steelers have kind of a mini bye also because they played in that snow game on Thursday against the Browns, and they coming off a loss too. But they got to go on the road again over Thanksgiving weekend. I think the steam is coming out from the Steelers. Like, Russ was cooking for a little bit. I think that's going to start dying down. So I got the Bengals straight up in this game at home. Coming off a bye. They've been looking forward to playing this game. They got a big game they need to win in this division. I think they get it done. In the next one, we got Eagles at Baltimore. And I'm taking the Eagles in this game for the upset. All right. I think the Ravens are 2.5. At least when I looked at it earlier this week, they were 2.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Eagles straight up, man. Eagles are 5-1 on the road. Ravens are 4-1 at home. Something's got to give. I feel like the Eagles' defense is getting better and better and better every week. Even though the Ravens flipped the script in the Harbaugh Bowl on Monday night, they actually were the aggressor. They were the better defensive team against the Chargers. I just feel like the Eagles, top to bottom, roster-wise, and the way they've been playing consistently, I can bank on their consistency. This is going to be a MVP race caliber game, maybe an MVP defining game, maybe a Super Bowl preview. This is going to be a big time game. This is the game of the weekend. And I got the Eagles on the road beating the Ravens. All right. But somebody in the NFC has to beat the Ravens. I mean, their record is ridiculous. They're like 23-1. Lamar Jackson's like 23-1 against the NFC. Somebody got to beat his ass. All right. So I'm taking the Eagles, Saquon Barkley to go in there, plant his flag for his MVP case against two other candidates in Lamar and King Henry. Eagles straight up. And then last but not least, we talked about them in the monologue, the 49ers, kind of in a tailspin, going up against arrested Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Again, 49ers got to travel cross country, play against a Buffalo team. It's going to be cold as hell out there. Again, Buffalo in November. I never thought I'd see the day where I'd be picking a team to cover a spread over the 49ers, a 6.5-point spread, but I'm taking the Bills to cover this spread because of the way they've been playing. Again, don't know if Brock's playing. Doesn't matter. I don't think he's 100%. And the Bills are rested and at home. And I think Amari Cooper got some rest. I think he comes out ready to ball. A banged-up 49ers team traveling across country to play a fresh Buffalo team at home Sunday night. It's going to be a lot of broken tables. I got the Bills covering the spread. It's supposed to snow. I just don't see any way the 49ers not only win this game, but get within a touchdown in this game. So I'm taking the fighting Josh Allen's, who is also in the MVP conversation, to cover this spread. All right? So go ahead and lock your bets in. It's Wednesday night. You got until tomorrow morning. Get them done. Go ahead and get the parlay in. We got the Packers covering at 3 at home against the Dolphins. The Raiders coming into Arrowhead covering the 13 and the hook. I just don't see them losing by 2 touchdowns. They never do, it seems like, against the Chiefs. No matter how bad the Raiders are, they seem to always get up for this game. So I got them covering. I got the Bengals and Steelers. I got the Bengals straight up at home coming off a bye. You got Eagles going on the road to upset the Ravens. Somebody in the NFC's got to beat Lamar. All right. So I got the Eagles doing it. And then the banged up Niners going to a buzzsaw in Buffalo to go up against the mighty Josh Allen Buffalo Bills. I got Buffalo covering that spread too. All right. So go ahead and get your bets in. Like I said, X Factor Sports Podcast, Bet That segment, everybody's favorite, season 6, episode 6. Y'all go ahead and let me know what y'all think about these spreads, these parlays, and y'all take y'all's in as well. All right. Now, before we get out of here, you know we always got to hit y'all with that 2-minute warning. And so this week, the 2-minute warning, we're going to talk about what it is to please everybody, all right? And why you shouldn't try to please everybody, okay? Just stay away from that. Stop trying to please all these people and focus on doing things the way they should be done, right? So what do you mean by that, Jay? When I talk about pleasing people, it's like the things that motivate you are the things that motivate you, your family, and friends. It shouldn't be about what other people think. Your life shouldn't be predicated or centered around making other people happy, right? If you're not happy within yourself, you got to find what makes you happy first, all right? You got to love yourself first. You can't put your energy on somebody else because it'll drain yours. So don't focus on trying to please other people if you haven't figured out what it is that makes you happy first. That's even if you're in a relationship, right? Obviously, if you have children, you got to be there for them, but you have to be there for you too, right? So think about that as you go on. I know we're in the season of Thanksgiving and giving thanks for things that are in our lives, but you're an individual as well. Be thankful that you are your own person and that you don't have to worry about what other people think, please other people. Focus on pleasing yourself first before you can give out energy into the world. All right. This is Jay Mondaine, man, of the X Factor Sports Podcast. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Season 6, episode 6. Can't wait for y'all to tune in next week when we're on episode 7. We are getting closer and closer to this season finale. And you know what we got coming for y'all for the season finale. All right. We are at Bogey's Windy City Pub, January 8th. Make sure you click the QR code to get your gear. Make sure you hit me up if you're interested in getting gear, shirts, hats. Winter gear is coming. We will have that on display. Get your orders in now. Pre-order them so we can get them out to you. All the X Factor Sports Podcast gear is here for you. I want to thank y'all again for tuning in. Next week, episode 7, we will get into the NBA. We will get into NFL power rankings. We got to get back into that because this is when we separate the boys from the men. When we get into the NFL power rankings after Thanksgiving, who are the teams that are going to make this push to get into the playoffs? All right. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is Jay Mondaine of the X Factor Sports Podcast, Season 6, Episode 6. We are out of here. Peace.